Ladies and gentlemen, our country is falling apart.
The nation is in mourning tonight.
Our institutions are failing. Crime is out of control. It is our duty to fix it. We are touching on every sector of society. Race, class, and corruption. Nothing is off limit. No holds barred. The Cold Truth with Kimm Cole. The power belongs to the people. Join us right here, Monday to Sunday, 4:45 p.m. to 5:45 p.m.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to The Cold Truth. I am Kimm Cole. And as I promised you for the past few days, we are going to get the cold truth with respect to what took place at the Black Caucus movement. So for the past few days, I would have had Rubadiri Victor, who was a director on the board of directors. Subsequently, I had Empress Judy yesterday, in addition to Mr. Karan Nanku, who is the president of the GOPIO. Mr. Karan Nanku shed a lot of light with respect to the importance of the African community being represented. But before we get into it, allow me to introduce to you my guest for this afternoon, Mr. Keenan Monroe, who was a former director of the Black Caucus movement. However, he still maintains that he is a member of the organization. Good afternoon, Keenan.
Good afternoon, Kim. Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for having me on your show.
I see you come looking real nice and dandy. We're going to get down in the mud.
No, it's not that. No, it's the cold truth. So I'm not come with a jacket. I know it's cold inside of here. So.
All right. Well, I heard you use a box. So just know I'm going to be throwing you on the ropes this evening. I'm hitting you some short ones down in your ribs, huh?
I look, as my father says, let me steal a quote from him. I have skeletons in my closet, so open it up, ask what you had to ask. There's the cold truth, I hate to deal with the cold truth. I see people back and back. I come to any question you have asked, because I know it have a lot of people out there have been asking me time and time again, what is going on with the Black Caucus? And I would like this platform for you to ask me anything you need to ask, and let Trinidad and Tobago hear, from my perspective, what has happened to the Black Caucus. Well,
at least the cold truth with respect to what took place in the Black Caucus, because I'm not taking on any position as, a friend of the family this evening. I am a Black Caucus member, a Black Caucus supporter, and I too want to know what happened with the Black Caucus movement. So give us a bit of, history with respect to the organization.
Well, from my perspective, as I said, in 2004, I know, well, I will refer to him as Mr. William Monroe this evening in that capacity. Mr. William Monroe, he spoke to me and told me about his vision. His vision that he foresaw at that time, in 2004, I believe, that Trinidad and Tobago was becoming polarized, and more so, not just polarized, but polarized with the African community getting the worst end of the stick and all the other communities mobilizing in a particular way. And he realized and recognized that the mobilization was coming through their organizations. So he saw it fit at that point in time to see if he could stimulate enough people that were in the, considered persons in the African consciousness movements at the time, to rally them together to form an organization that was then called the Black Caucus, in order to create that unity that he saw, that he envisioned was a necessity. Otherwise, the scales would have been tipped to the point where it would have been difficult for us to recover.
Right,
and, excuse me if you don't mind, so said, so done.
Okay.
Now, shall I go on?
No, let us touch on the founder of the organization. Now, yesterday, Empress Judy was on the set, and she made a statement that Mr. Monroe was the financial founder. Now, I had to correct her, and I told her, as far as I was aware, the idea of the Black Caucus movement came from Mr. William Monroe. Now, there are several claims in the public domain that David Mohammed was a founder of the organization, as well as Mohammed Shabazz. Who is the real founder of the Black Caucus movement?
The real founders of the movement would have been Mr. William Monroe, and Mr. William Monroe having conversations with Mr. Mohammed Shabazz about his concerns and what he knows is needed, and Mr. Mohammed Shabazz and Mr. William Monroe then, I guess, deciding that, you know, the best way forward is a movement. But the idea came from Mr. William Monroe.
No two ways about that.
No two ways about it.
All right.
I could tell anyone, I could stake my life on that. That is the cold truth.
Great. Now, between 2004 and the organization was revamped in 2012, which I was a part of, what happened to the Black Caucus movement between 2004 and 2012? Because prior to 2012, I knew nothing about the existence of a Black Caucus movement.
Okay, well, there's the cold truth.
Well, get
Again,
to it.
cold truth. Okay. I was personally involved. Matter of fact, the first document that they circulated in the Black Caucus regarding the Africans' position and what they would like to achieve, it was something I wrote, a document that I wrote. And it was adjusted by Mr. Monroe and put out there as the document to circulate to bring some level of awareness and awakening. And I was a part of it. A part of it there with Mr. Monroe. And they brought in Mr. David Mohammed. And they brought him in because they knew at the time he was in the middle and the thick of the struggle. He had the program going on. Although he had an Islamic perspective, we understood, as far as I could have perceived, Mr. Monroe understood that it is a part of the black community also, you know, and he brought him in, and along with other persons, Mr. Ronald Nathan.
This was between 2004 and 2012?
2004. This was in 2004.
2004.
And a whole host of persons, Ms. Karen, Bart Alexander, a few people that were, that they expressed themselves as persons that had equal concern.
Right.
And you could say that. It had persons that would have seen...
You know, let me get to the point. Between 2004 and 2012, nothing was happening with the Black Caucus movement because you didn't hear anything about it. You always hear about the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha. You always hear about Gopio.
Well, getting into it,
Well, between that period and that period, what happened? Why were we not hearing anything about the Black Caucus?
Now, it started off very well, actually. They started to get, you know, put the word out there, it started to spread. But I personally started to see more and more and more persons of the Islamic faith coming in and taking leadership positions in the organization. And I voiced to Mr. Monroe at the time that it is turning into an Islamic organization for me. And I exited, in all honesty, I did. And then, not too long after, from what I know, Mr. Monroe, he took a back seat. And Mr. David Mohammed was given the mantle of chairman.
Was given or elected as a chairman?
It was, well, elected, given. Well, if you're elected, it's still given.
Well,
so I'm not sure. I could tell you, as far as I know,
right.
He ended up in the position of chairman.
And that was 2004?
That was 2004, 5, somewhere around there.
Right.
And his personality is one that is somewhat of a dictator, in my opinion. So he took the organization. Matter of fact, several of the board of directors that were in the old dispensation came to me and said, I hope you all know what you're doing with this, bringing this man back in the organization.
At what point?
After 2012.
The revamp?
Yes, the revamp. And I heard of instances where they asked Mr. Monroe, which was the person envisioning the idea, to speak at a meeting in Black Caucus. And after a minute, they almost pull him off the stage and tell him, well, no, there's enough time for you.
Right.
And whoever else came on and spoke and whatever else, you know. But in my opinion, that is a dictatorship kind of mentality.
Right.
And I believe that, you know, with that and pushing of the Islam, no, I am talking from my perspective. We have a predominantly Christian society in regards to the African community. There is a significant portion that is Islamic.
This is between 2004 and 2014.
Yes.
Right.
And I know that a lot of people, they saw it as being extension of the Louis Farrakhan philosophy and organization, and a lot of people, they then started to go their own ways, just like I did, and turn their backs.
Okay, I see.
That's based on my perception.
Good, but you still didn't tell me, but what was happening between 2004 and 2014?
No, that's all I could tell you, that's it.
So
that is all I know about it. After that,
nothing.
It dwindled, it just fell, it dwindled, and it
So
faded
under the
away.
leadership, in a nutshell, under the leadership of David Mohammed, the Black Caucus movement fell.
Yes, it did. As a matter of fact, the last few years, as far as I knew, it was just an office with just the namesake for namesake.
Great. All right, no problem. Now, up comes 2014. Now, I don't know who came first between you and me in the new dispensation of the Black Caucus movement. But I guess you could tell me some history with respect to the resurfacing of the Black Caucus movement, because I too would have been present at the time the organization was revamped.
All right. Well, what I know for a fact is that Mr. Mohammed Shabazz came to Mr. Monroe and asked him for some support, financial support, to sponsor a program to promote the ideology of African solidarity, unity, and corporate economics.
This was in what of what?
2012.
2014.
2014. Sorry, 2014. It was in 2013 into 2014 that discussion took place.
Well, I know the radio program started in just after Carnival in March 2014.
Right, so the discussion would have been,
91.9.
you know, a little while before. And then upon the sponsoring of it, I know for a fact that after the first two programs or so, you know, Mr. Monroe, he became fired up because he heard over the airwaves the callers' response
Right.
and their emotion and their passion. And it was right there in the midst of the People's Partnerships dispensation in the country,
Right.
where, in my opinion, I was seeing clear prejudice.
Well, the dreaded 2010 to 2015 period for African people
Yes.
in this country.
Yes, matter of fact, just a side note, after that kind of prejudice is a hell of a thing to then see an ad for that particular party, then promoting a set of black faces. Because apparently we only get to showcase on a television, but then when it comes to dealing with business and empowering, then it's a whole different conversation. But I think that's a conversation for next time.
Right.
So, back to the point, then, then, you know, he said, well, you know, you want to get something going. And they said, well, let's start back the Black Caucus, let's bring it back. And, you know, he started to pull, I guess, some of the guys that were involved before, Ronald Nathan, Mr. O'Brien Haynes, and myself, and Shabazz were the first set of people that sat down. And then I was told, well, you will help with that. You will, and, you know, in terms of, like, all the people sitting on there at the table,
Right,
said, you know,
okay.
let's start to see if we could start pulling something together,
Well,
and then
I'll tell
we
you
started
something.
to
I'll
pull
tell
it.
you a conversation that would have happened between Mr. Mohammed Shabazz, myself, and Mr. William Monroe. And this is the cold truth. Now, in and around March, April of that same year, I fell ill. I believe I fell ill. And so too did Mr. Monroe. And so, as well as another friend of ours, Mr. Seeley. We fell ill. Anyway, I ended up in a conversation with Mr. Mohammed Shabazz, Mr. Monroe, three of us. And in the conversation, Mr. Shabazz, now I don't usually like to speak about people who are not here to defend their position, but this is the first time that you're going to ever hear this. Mr. Mohammed Shabazz advised Mr. Monroe to not bring David Mohammed on board in the organization in any key
No, that is true. That is
in
true.
any
I
key
could second that.
influential- in any key or influential position, because there were claims that Mr. Mohammed was responsible for the dismantling of the Black Caucus movement back in between that period of 2004 and 2008. And for that reason, Mr. Mohammed Shabazz felt that he ought to prove, him and his wife ought to prove his worth as it relates to coming on board in any key position, because you don't want to have somebody on board who mash up, in a nutshell, mash up an organization and give them, you know, any great sense of responsibility to come back and do the same thing again. And Mr. Monroe said, quote unquote, and Mr. Monroe, I dare you to call in and tell me that what I'm saying is not truth, because this is the cold truth today. Mr. Monroe said that, no, I have changed my life. I have given my life to God, and we have to learn forgiveness, because this is what the movement is about. It is about forgiving your brothers and your sisters. There are so many, you know, ills that has taken place within the African community, and because of that, that is how Mr. Mohammed was able to come back on board in the organization as a director. Now, do you care? Are you aware of that?
Yes, but it was not. It was not just like that, because it was one where it was asked. You know, is there value to him coming on board? It wasn't just in my recollection, it was not just we were bringing him back on board. Because I know the question was asked, should we? As I was asked the question, and I know Mr. Nathan was asked the question, Mr. O'Brien was asked the question, and although there was some level of apprehension. We all understood because he sold the point. He said, you know, guys, I understand, but at that same point you bring there, we need to, you know, put these things aside because there's a greater battle ahead of us. So before we look to start the battle internally, let's look to rally our troops and move forward. So yeah, that was
great. So fast forward to the after we had the radio program, we had a TV program. What happened after with the Black Caucus?
Let me tell you this. I'll be honest, Kimm. From my experience with Black Caucus, I'll start by summing it up. Black Caucus to me has gone through the same systematic transformation that all the other African organizations that claim to represent African people has gone through. A leader stood up, a visionary stood up, started a movement, and then we revert to our old colonial westernized way of thinking to remove a leader, to put someone that went and learned leadership theory. And I've seen that happen systematically in the boardroom, and I'm not going to discuss what takes place in the boardroom, I can't, but I could say the culture and the tone and everything that took place was one that systematically tried to remove a leadership mentality that we should have had, to replace it with a bureaucratic, westernized thinking of what the white man tell us how a leader should be. And the theory of leadership, rather than studying what a leader says, they would want to turn to a textbook to say what a white man tell us leadership should really be.
Right. So we fast forward into 2015, 2016. What happened in 2016?
Let me tell, could I digress a little bit before you go to 2016? Because I want to share the mentality of, because I could share stuff that wasn't in the boardroom, right?
Well, I could share stuff that was in the boardroom.
No, well, I don't know about that.
Hold on, because I have never been a board member of the Black Caucus movement.
Well, then you could do that. So I can't do that. But I'll tell you things that came to me outside of the boardroom. I spoke to Mr. Muhammad, and in speaking to him, and me having a conversation with him was based on me seeing how he started to move and everything. Now, understand, this is not me attacking him as an individual.
It's a cold truth, Kimm.
Right? But I asked him the question, Mr. Muhammad, where does your Islamic belief end and your African consciousness picks up? Because I needed to know that your agenda is for the African community, not the African community with an Islamic agenda attached.
Right.
And the answer to me was, that is an offensive question because it's one of the same. And the moment I heard that, it was the moment that I knew that there had to be problems that would exist in the organization.
Well,
and could I say one other thing? And then regards to his wife, who I consider to be a bit eccentric. At time I was with an African sister, I'm not going to call her name, that was a part of the organization. And that African sister that speaks about African consciousness told me, and she could call any time to try and defend that because it was there, where she told me, why you don't look to get a nice little Syrian girl or a nice little mixed girl or a nice why are you going after this sister that have children? What are you doing? He's a nice, successful young black man, smooth black man. Why you don't look for a nice Syrian girl? Because the Syrian girls like black fellas, you know, especially successful ones. And I found it so offensive, to be honest with you. And it's the first time I think I really get into say that because on the cold truth. I feel it's because of the cold truth.
It's the cold truth. But not just that, I heard, it's the cold truth. That same sister and her husband had something going in the middle there, so I don't know, perhaps, maybe. Well,
I can't say because I don't know about that, but I could tell you what she told me, and I could tell you something else as we are the cold truth. There was an incident where she had a program with our television programs here, where she was one of the hosts for the Tuesday program. For one, she started to change the name from the Black Caucus to changing the conversation. We said, okay. Didn't really like it, but he said, okay. But then I understood what was meant by changing the conversation in 2016. Because the now CEO was coming on her program for something else to deal with his agricultural project or something. And what she didn't know, he was a Black Caucus member, and she didn't know that he was in talks with the organization and vying for a position of CEO. And he came representing the, proud as a BCM member with his Black Caucus jersey, with his Black Caucus emblem. And he was refused to come on the Black Caucus show because she watched the jersey and said, what you come in with that jersey on the show for? And the moment that I heard that, I know that they had to be up to no good for this organization and African people.
Our telephone
because it's not the African agenda they're pushing, it was something else.
622978562860993. All the drama with respect to the Black Caucus movement, it is unfolding here this evening. Yes, Keenan. Now, what happened in 2016 when the organization flopped? What caused the organization to flop?
No, well, it's a cacophony of things. It's not one thing. Because it's a whole boardroom of fellas, a whole boardroom of men and women. And I could tell you, it's a good thing it have law in this country, because sometimes, I ain't lying to tell you, when you hear some of the things coming out of the mouths of some of these people that's still in the public light, talking some kind of rubbish about who saying, oh, well, I a CEO that don't do anything, I'm not an executive CEO, I'm not here to get my hands dirty. I'm here to officiate over a boardroom and the board of directors and pulling out script. And again, I'm telling you, it's about people who want to assume leadership position because they went to a classroom and somebody tell them what a leader should be like, rather than they accepting true leadership or people in the organization that have ideas that could push people forward, that could transform, that could revolutionize the consciousness of the people. That was not the agenda of some of those persons there. They were more caught up in looking the part of African rather than seeing the African community through this trying time that we're going through right now. That was the agenda I see clearly.
Hi, excuse me, Keenan. I have to take this call. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes,
Good afternoon.
Mr. Monroe, thank you for calling in.
Program. But before I give my contribution, Sister Kimm,
Yes, my dear.
you was in the middle of the Black Caucus. I would like to hear something from you because you keep asking Keenan Monroe, so many from 2004 and 15, 16 and something, but you know so much because you defended me from those people over 50 times on television. And you was in the belly, don't mind you was not a board member, but some of the board member was passing on all the message, and that was not ethical at all. But before I give my contribution this evening, I would like to hear something from you, what you know about the Black Caucus, and what you defended of the Black Caucus. Okay?
Thank you so much for your contribution, Mr. Monroe. May I? Now, I asked Keenan to give me some history with respect to the Black Caucus movement and the foundation members, the founder of the organization, because whilst I was perusing through Facebook, I believe that was 2017, early last year, I stumbled upon a post from David Mohammed sometime in May 2017, whereby he wrote a long-winded, discussion about him. He resigned from the Black Caucus movement. Now, prior to that, we had the HDC drive, which was spearheaded by myself as well as Mr. Monroe. Now, that is something, the HDC is something we're going to get into afterwards. But what I did not understand is since May 2017, May, June, July, August, September, I couldn't understand, one, why was there a need to, even though he removed himself or he resigned from the organization, why did he feel the need to cast all these aspersions onto the organization and to Mr. Monroe's leadership? Why did he feel the need to push himself as the founder of the organization, which from what I understand, you can't be a founder of an organization if you have a group of people that is considering and contemplating inviting you back to be a part of the organization, then it doesn't add up to me.
True.
Why I defended Mr. Monroe is because a lot of the things that they were saying about him was straight up lies. And one thing that I I always said to Mr. Monroe, if you are not the leader of the organization, I will never accept your proposition to become a board member, because I knew that it was destined to fail. And it's not a matter of throwing shade at the abilities of anybody else, but it simply meant that I have seen what Mr. Monroe was able to do, at least with the Soca Monarch project, for 23 years at the time. To take something and to take nothing and make something out of it. And then when you research and you listen to his life story and his history, how he became this successful businessman and all of that, he is everything that I think a leader for the African community should have, well, actually represents. Another thing is that I often looked at people who were pushing up themselves for leaders, and I said to myself, Kimm, on a good day, would you respect these people? And the answer was no. And my position is the blind cannot lead who could see. I could see, I've traveled, I've lived the life, I see, I know, I understand, and I had an issue with being led by people who don't even know where they are. Led
by sheep.
Who don't know where they're going. The thing about it is that I took issue with a lot of the case in point, the board meetings. And Mr. Monroe, if you want, you could call back. If a board meeting, I think board meetings would be on a Wednesday evening, whatever. If a board meeting starts at 5 and it finishes at 8 o'clock in the night, by 8:05, I am calling Mr. Monroe and giggling at him and saying, so this is what they discussed in the board meeting, and 1, 2, 3. I can tell you 3 board members who contacted me immediately after meetings and told
well, I
me
want to hear the cold truth.
And
you tell me the cold truth, you know.
And I'm calling your first name and your last name. Send your pre-action protocol letter. David Mohammed, Harvey Boris, Empress Judy.
People, the cold truth, the true cold truth coming out. Let me hear them names again.
David Mohammed, the former chairman, Harvey Boris, and Empress Judy. All right? Now, this is not a snitch thing, but what they did to the organization, it offends me, it upsets me, because I know and I understand the importance of the African community having proper representation. Yesterday, Mr. Karan Nanku, who is the head of the GOPU, the Global Organization for People of Indian Origin, sat here on my couch, and he said that I support the Black Caucus movement. I support what the Black Caucus movement is doing for African people. What the Black Caucus movement was doing for African people is what he is doing for his group of people, which is the Indian community. And I asked him a question, and in no uncertain terms, I asked him, do you feel the African, what do you think about what has the Emancipation Support Committee, do you feel as though they have done enough for the African community and off the back foot? He said, no, they ain't do nothing for African people. And for me, if you have an organization that is 25 years representing the interests of the African community, and you have a leader in the Indian community who can come out publicly and say, you ain't do nothing, then I do not want these people as leaders to represent me, nor my African child.
Let me tell you something that early in Black Caucus, in the 2012 dispensation, a gentleman came to me who is around those people from the inception. He grew up in the heart of the whole movement around these people. You know, all the names that you call there, a lot of these people. And he came, but I knew him from before, and he knows me, he's a dear friend of mine. And he came and he sat down in my office. He said, Keenan, he said, you're new in this. He said, you're coming with fresh ideas and a fresh energy and a fresh drive. But you need to be wary of one thing. He said, this African consciousness for most of them is a hustle, you know.
Well, let me wait now. No, this is the cold truth. Let me talk. I wasn't finished. So here what I never understood. I am looking at 13 board members who just rock back, waiting for William Monroe's investment, to invest William Monroe's investment and tell William Monroe that William Monroe, who has been a successful businessman, who invested his own money, isn't good enough to invest his own money to empower the African community. That makes sense to you?
Well, first of all, I saw a board member sit down here and said it had 7 board members in the room. That could tell you alone how much time he was present, Mr. Rubaderi Victor. I watching this glass. as a board member.
No, but
you saying 13 board members here, which it had. You can imagine a board member.
and I
might have to be for him to watch 13 people and come 7.
right. Now, when you look at Mr. William Monroe's $4 million investment in the Black Caucus movement, right?
Yes.
And you have 10,000 members, the contribution amounted to $1 million.
Less than that, you know, Kim. Let me tell you why. For one, at the time, it did not reach 10,000 members. Matter of fact, I'm not even certain, especially with the new leadership, if it reached.
All right, but don't stop, man. But I don't want to lose the trend of thought, right? You have one person investing $4 million. You have the membership who contributed just about $1 million. What was the board? What sort of fundraising initiatives were embarked upon by the other 12 members of the board of directors of the organization? It appeared to me as though the board of directors, save and except for maybe one or two others apart from Mr. Monroe, was simply contented to sit back and wait for Mr. Monroe to spend all his money, and they tell Mr. Monroe how to spend his money. And that is not right. You cannot have an organization that is a group of directors who is sitting down and waiting for one person to fund the organization and the proceeds of the membership, in addition to the fact that this decade was declared the decade for people of the African
descent.
The
decade for people of
by
African
the United
descent.
Nations. So in terms of, you know, it should have been a lot easier to raise funding for initiatives of the African nature as it relates to the Black Caucus movement.
I will say that your statements are somewhat true.
The truth is the
No,
cold
I'll
truth.
tell you why. It's not that they were waiting for him to give them money for them to spend. It was things would have come up in terms of, you know, decisions would have been made amongst 13 persons of fundraisers that we would have done, and persons appointed to
The
positions.
bottom line is,
No,
there
but-
was no real effort to raise funds
No, but
from what
I'm
can
going to
see.
agree with you doing, you know, because
Well, you don't have
after
to.
that, no, I'm just telling you, I'm going to fortify your point, but it's not that they will wait for him to give them
Yeah,
money.
but you
They was doing nothing.
No, but you buttering up.
Nothing.
You buttering it up
No,
and
listen to me.
sugarcoating it.
The majority of them outside of the family would have been given and assigned and volunteer their services for fundraisers. And 2 weeks, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it. You're talking about people who are at the heart of the organization. We have 300 and 400 and 500 tickets to sell. These persons are known across Trinidad and Tobago, and they can't sell 10 tickets. It's wicked people he was dealing with. And all they were doing was waiting so that we would take up the cause. And when we run with it and do it,
They would
and
get
then
the
make them
fame.
look bad, then they vex.
Not
They vex
the
because they're saying, well, you know, instead of looking at the success of what we're doing, they're saying that we're making them look bad.
Caller, you have to call 622-9785 or 628-6093. You're calling me on my personal cell phone number to get into the program. I really can't take your call. 622-9785 or 628-6093. I know that you're eager to get into the discussion. Hi, good afternoon. Okay. So if you ask me, I'm telling you that from what I saw looking in, there were no efforts to raise
It was
funds.
10 times worse with whatever you
To
think you
raise
see.
funds by the
Kim,
directors
let me tell you something.
and the BCM board.
I was at one point in time the chairman of Black Caucus, managing director of personal companies that we have, and my own company. And I would be there toting chairs, cooking food. Mr. William Monroe sweeping, hanging up all kind of. No, what I'm telling you,
No,
when
but you said
we
I had
putting
it
up
nice.
tents,
No, but Keenan, I was
and
walking
we have
through.
10,000 members.
But I was walking through animal poo. I had my nice Cassaday pumps walking through animal mess. Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to our program. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, sister.
Yes, my love. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the brother there.
Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, God, brother. Do love it. You see that sister, boy? Well, I like so far. Well, see. I've seen Welch's she can be more plain than because I always used to watch these brothers and them, especially David Mohammed. Imagine we going through a sort of stress in this country as African people, and David Mohammed will come on the TV or whatever it is and talk about what Falcon Khan, the 100-man march, and Campbell now, he will talk about the white man went to Africa and teach people the Catholic religion, which is the Baptist people, they say they're from Africa. And this is not the point. We ain't nothing more Daga. We ain't nothing more Daga. But we ain't more the Black Panther and this black thing. I'm trying to call, I think I get you with this sister here. And she's trying to tell the brothers, the two brothers are talking. They can talk. These fellas can talk.
They're talking a whole bunch of nothing.
He leg cross and he's talking. And the lady was trying to tell him, why we ain't going into the community and try to, let us go up to the community, let us know something. She can highlight it. So we will be taking a step up in the community. And the next point I want to bring, we have to take back Woodford Square, which is the black people's square. We have to take back that square. We have to go to the square. You have to go to the square. And Cambon, don't doubt it. Them fellows and them, and you see you, brother, and Mr. Monroe, and you happen, I'll tell you something plain and you get put in the pipe and smoke it. You look at Mr. Monroe as a Grenadian come here in Trinidad, and he make it. And plenty of Grenadians, they used to call Power Grenadians on the TV, all of them they're laughing, they're kiki, and none of them have nothing like what Sparrow Hideaway. You call him a Grenadian. Trinidad is just smart.
You're right.
Tell your father, keep your money and all you eat, all you enjoy all the money, brother.
Thank you
all
so
you work
much.
for that, and Mr. Monroe is a nice man. I almost live a kind of life like Mr. Monroe. I don't have the money like him, but I do little small things, and I get stabbed in my back. I keep fed for fellas who come out of jail, and I keep on fed for them, and they tell me I touch money. I go touch money. I was up and over for gas in the car. Nobody gave me nothing. Nothing. Who want to go and visit the jailers? I can't let.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller.
As he talked there, sometimes I just get a thought that the Africa, you see this post-traumatic slave syndrome is a real thing, Because, like when a woman used to get abused and then she get a good man and then she mess it up because she's just waiting for the good man to turn bad and before you know it, the man leave. It's like that's how I feel. Because this organization came with a genuine person willing to put millions and then everybody just watching.
Let me correct you. Not willing to put millions. Who put millions?
Thank you. I stand corrected. Who put millions of dollars. And then like everybody waiting to say, well, you see, he disappoints you like everybody else. Rubbish! You disappoint yourself for saying that. I can tell you that. Because where were you when it is we bring out 10 tables free to the public on the 16th of September and tell people, come out and support your country. You're having problems with HDC, you're having problems with prejudice, come out and support. Less than 150 people turn up. And then they want to know what happened to the Black Caucus. What happened to you, Trinidad and Tobago, the African community? Wake up! That's what the problem is. And you're allowing those pseudo-leaders to guide you all. That is the problem.
Hi, good afternoon. Caller, you are live. Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, my love, good afternoon.
Yeah. Hello. You listen?
Yes, my love, you are live.
I so shame. Sometimes I will be so shame with our African people. You understand? What for them to do? Look, yesterday you had the member from Gopio Comde. I listened to that man. The man, you think for the African people to stand up with one another and try to keep going. They will cut against their own, what good for them like that. They don't know what good for them. You understand? The man even say yesterday, all they're going to do is affect this emancipation thing. Is affect.
Of course it is. It's a
You
hoax. That
and
is.
they will come together and talk and be serious about what's going on with the African people. You understand? Everybody going forward. but the African going backward. You understand? Everybody uniting with their own people. Yeah? But the African can unite with one. I have been listening with David Mohammed on the stage. David Mohammed he talk David Mohammed is talking is Islamic thing. You understand? They don't talk things where to lift the African people. Look, from then the Black Caucus got break up. You have to say they break up. I tired call the office. I listen impressed. They still going. They still does go on. They have things that go on with it. I call the office to see if they're still around. No, the phone ringing. Nobody outside. It have nothing going on there. They mash up the Black Caucus. I mean, it says best that you leave Mr. Monroe to continue going going ahead with how you are going. You understand?
Yes, my love. Thank
Best
you
that
so
you
much.
leave Mr. Monroe to control what's going on.
Caller, we have to
Thank
let
you
some
so
other
much.
callers come in too, eh?
Thank you so much. for your
Excellent contribution.
my love. But he made two valid points.
Excellent contribution.
It is I don't know if to say it's an embarrassment or if it is alarming when you have the head of the Indian organization telling African people it is important to have your own
No, well, I feel, no, well,
organization.
Kim, I had planned on finding a white man to come on the program and tell the African community that we need to unite, you know. I'd reached that point. I reached that point where I was looking for a man with blue eyes, blonde hair, straight nose to come and tell us because we ain't listening to your own.
Right. Hi, good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon.
Hello?
Calling you live.
Yeah, I want to get in on the show, please.
Yes, my love, you are live. Make your contribution.
I'm live.
Yes.
Make my contribution.
You're live, sir, you're live.
Yes, caller, you're live.
Okay, I would like to say that the stage the Black Caucus have reached, it is disgusting, it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing to the gentleman who came up with the idea, Mr. William Monroe, right? Because I saw a program with Mr. William Monroe and the present chairman, I don't even want to use the word so-called, but the present chairman, who I think is not capable of carrying the Black Caucus anywhere.
But you going to
And one of
refer
the
to
things
that
he was saying
nasty
is-
stink snake
Hello?
as a chairman of the Black Caucus community, so you really feel he could represent me after he staged a coup d'etat in the Black Caucus? Listen to me now.
Yes,
Stay
well,
tuned,
Stay
stay tuned.
tuned,
Tory,
stay tuned.
what is their mouth open? Tory
Tory
jump
jump
out.
out.
It have more to come.
It have
Just
more
stay
to
tuned.
come.
Just listen to words.
Chairman,
It have more
you
to
feel
come.
I want that to represent me?
I ain't started
My
me yet.
African daughter just came into the studio this afternoon. You feel he's the future of my African child, my authentic African Nigerian child?
And all he doing is in the office watching all the girls. Ooh, your skate look nice. You're looking so. That's the man they're talking about, you know. Want to represent African people, you know.
So you didn't know, you all don't know that.
Oh, she looking
But
nice.
hold up, you know they always say the Black Caucus is a Monroe thing and a Monroe family thing. So you all don't know that the Black Caucus movement is a husband-wife organization now? Yes, the Empress who was here yesterday and the executive chairman, what you name, Mark McCannell.
Mark McCannell, well,
And-
I don't know,
and-
to Judy, check yourself, because you could be getting some.
So I buy it, I sell it, I make no profit. It's the cold truth. Hi,
What
good
is,
afternoon.
you're
Call
not
it
easy.
live.
Caller.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello.
my love. Hello?
Take our next call and I came. That person in low in the radio.
Caller, we're not hearing you. 6229785 or 6286093. But getting, more serious. If you ask me, there are three issues. There are three things that brought the demise of the Black Caucus movement. One, you had a disloyal board. As I said, immediately after board meetings, I shouldn't be aware of what it is taking place in the board. That is illegal, and that's why I threaten all you to call me and send a pre-action protocol letter. Let me file a high court lawsuit against you. What you all have been doing was illegal.
I know for sure that is true because you called me after a
And
board
it
meeting
is-
and telling me things in a board
And
meeting.
it is contrary to the practices of board meetings. That is one. So if they could come and tell Kimm these things,
Oh God, they're telling
they're
Tom, Dick
telling
and Harry.
Tom, Dick, Harry Lal, probably Satmaraj and all might even know what was
I ain't
going
go
on
doubt
with the
if he
Black Caucus
passing that.
movement. I think religion, because there were a lot of youths, a lot of black youths who were interested in joining. And they said, Kimm, you see with this Rasta City Muslim thing, always a Muslim organization or what? This is the sentiments that were echoed by a lot of African youths. So I think that did not attract the fact that we had a Muslim, the head of a Muslim front in the organization. It didn't augur well for the development as it relates to the youth. I also think the HDC, what happened with the HDC? And why was I removed from the HDC project? It's the cold truth.
I'm trying to remember.
Yes, a decision was made in the Black Caucus board to have the HDC project, well, to have me removed
Well,
from
I
the
mean, I
HDC
can't
project.
discuss that because it had some of those same people you called there, certain sentiments and things that were
Let me
discussed
tell
in
you
the
what they
boardroom. I
said.
can't discuss
well,
that.
I could discuss
I can't
it
discuss that.
because
I can't discuss that.
Great. They were saying that, no, at the time, immediately after I went around Trinidad,
Yes,
around Trinidad
yes.
and, well, I didn't reach Tobago. In my nice shoes, we all saw it with Mr. Monroe's help and full support from Mr. Monroe, not the board of the Black Caucus movement. At a point in time, Keenan, you all had to literally tell me, Kimm, if you go there and you squat in the people's house,
Yeah, that would be problem.
and you get locked up, we're not coming to
We
bail
can't
you out.
bail you
Because I was so passionate
Yes,
about
yes.
that HDC drive because,
True.
because I knew that it was an absolute disrespect and
Mm-hmm.
atrocity to the citizens of this country. I knew that there are a lot of people who are still clamoring for houses. So that HDC, it was really, I don't have the words, but
No,
it meant a lot to me to get the houses for the members of the organization. Do you know that after I walked all over, all kind of animal messes, bat flying over my head, all kinds of things, day in, day out. After that, I used to go to the office. I was the first one at the office before 7 in the morning, and I was the last one to leave the office after 7 in the evening, filling in the respective information. Do you know that board members asserted a position that I, Kimm Cole, was taking the information with respect to the HDC and take it to the UNC to score political points, and that is why you didn't get the HDC.
No, but I could tell, I know, well, okay, but I could tell you something outside of the boardroom. It have a man, I just call him Al Pacino.
Scarface.
Scarface.
Romel,
Let's call him Al Pacino.
call a name.
Al Pacino started cast a set of aspersions saying, oh, Kimm take this and Kimm selling out to UNC and Kimm. He was the person that I know was pushing that, along with some persons in the boardroom that was initially saying that we shouldn't trust him.
Which
and
is,
then,
listen, I call names, you know, which was Harvey. Go ahead.
and then, not just him and other persons who saying we shouldn't trust Scarface in the first place when we asked that he become a part of the organization and a spokesperson. And then afterwards to hear that those persons were in collusion with him in spreading and bad-mouthing the organizations and
senior
persons in the organizations that is doing and meaning well. Matter of fact, it was funny to me to hear after that rat-faced nasty man who gone quite over England to then lie. 'Cause I hear that I get 150 HDC house to build, and I couldn't even get a second meeting with the managing director of Insider. We couldn't even get a second meeting, but I get 150 house. It's only because he's a black man that I ain't sue him, you know, and he over there, and I know he don't have it hard because every time he look in the mirror, it's hard enough. He need me to then come and go, put him through that. To talk about the organization and this and we thiefing. You talking about $4 million we spend, the organization, the most it make is $1 million, and we thieving money, and it's $6 million it take to run the organization. Countries with populations of 100,000 and 50,000 taking billions to run. We trying to take care of a whole community of close to 600,000 persons, and we do it with a shoestring budget and try to make it work. and those nasty people out there want to talk about that. And after, when they manage to influence some weak-minded people to not join the organization, I could see a post from that nasty stinking man to then talk about, yeah, I think we need an African organization in Trinidad and Tobago to represent African people. He was supposed to get straight down from God and take a stroke or some kind of thing. So he feels supposed to be even more twist up after that. I can't believe when I hear what's taking place with some of them people, their wicked, nasty-minded selves. Serious?
You want to cry?
No, I'm telling you, it's a passionate, it's a hurtful thing to me when I see it because I'm out here seeing that our people not getting better, it's not improving.
But Keenan, a motion was moved in the board to put out a public disclaimer against me, Kimm Cole, the Kimm Cole who sat down in this studio for 3 years voluntarily. Everything that I have done for the Black Caucus, I have volunteered. In fact, I've spent my own money. I take money from my own pockets and I invested in the organization. When we were doing the HDC drive, it was pro bono. I never asked for a penny. I just said it's for the people and it's for a greater good. The organization moved a motion immediately when I decided I was going to contest local government election to put a public disclaimer in the newspaper against me.
Well, I hope they tell you my position on that.
I know that you and your sister voted to have the motion struck down. I have the cold truth.
You have the cold
every
truth.
single thing that took place, I know. And I'm saying that I should not be aware, I should not have been aware of anything of the sort. And that is very hurtful. Now we're talking September 20. That was in, November 2016. All right, so you all could have, the board, they tried to cripple my political career before I even started. And these are the people that I have been working with, and Mr. Monroe has been working with to push to empower the African community. Hi, good afternoon, caller. You're live. Could you please listen to me on your phone? Listen to me on your phone.
I am listening to you all there, particularly my brother Keenan Monroe, and he have a right to be disturbed because, when people talk about thieving money, I think that is a ridiculous thing for people to say because the type of money and the amount of money I personally see Mr. Monroe spend with Black Caucus, right? I don't know if it's a hobby of his own. I mean, I'm making a joke and saying hobby, because Mr. Monroe is spending money in Black Caucus like if it's going out of style. So when people say thief, $100 a man by 10,000 members, and sometimes people are paying the $100. You multiply that and see the millions Mr. Monroe put out. How much money must Mr. Monroe have lost? In my opinion, if I was Mr. Monroe, like a caller said just now, I'd just take my money and go and see about me and my family. Because for people to be making those statements, I think it is totally ridiculous. And people must not go about saying those things about people who helping people. Mr. Monroe, I know as a fact, and other people know, and the evidence is there. Look, they're building a pool in Soviet trace. If they wanted advice, they should have come to Mr. William Monroe and see the kind of money he spent on children with swimming for suffering at his private pool, paying private tutors, and so on. People must not stay outside and say these kind of things. So I think our people just get ridiculous sometimes. What money has a thief in Black Caucus? Mr. Monroe, this gentleman talked about no structure, the present chairman. In the presence of Mr. Monroe, if I was Mr. Monroe, I might have cussed him, I'm telling you. In the presence of Mr. Monroe in a meeting, I think you were the person who hosted the meeting, if I'm mistaken. And this man was balling, there is no structure in place. Anybody who believes that they should have come down to Black Caucus office and see the posh, modern-day facilities Mr. Monroe has provided out of his own pocket. You understand? And see what Mr. Monroe is doing. People get cars. Sometimes we going about advertising meetings. I used to go about on the mic, so I know what I am talking about. Advertising meeting, and people want to join, people want to come in. And the same people tell you they're coming. Sometimes they hold a meeting and they're not coming. Right? But these are the people who stay out there and talk the nonsense. You understand what I mean? It's kind of hurtful. It's really hurtful. Right? Because, next thing, look at Soca Monarch, where it reached down, water down now. Junior Soca Monarch complaining they didn't get the money. In Mr. Mono times, these things never happen. People are so glad to go to Sokamona, but it's shame to show the stands in Sokamona this year. Shame, they only showing it by the stage. Under Mr. Mono guidance and leadership at Sokamona, people used to, prepare for this thing. There was no preparation, nobody want to go this year, right? I don't want to criticize the artists, but the organizer.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Caller, Kinan, you want to say something?
This gentleman that is speaking about, Mr. Mark McCannell.
You keep referring to this man as a gentleman. This is a snake. People, when people see this creature walking down the road, they're supposed to spit on him. I don't advocate, violence something to anybody, but he and these others, the Mohammeds and Romel and Aisha and all of them, they have deprived the African community of a voice, of representation.
I
don't think that the African community really understands what they have done by allowing these people to pollute their minds and to allow the Black Caucus movement to dissipate. I don't think they understand.
No, because I want to ask that, what you call him, Mark McCannell, I want you to show me your structure now. Show me where the organization has reached. Show me where you have taken Black Caucus. You have taken it out of the hands of a group of people. You have taken it out of our hands. You stole it. You said, okay, you run a coup. You went and meet a set of people all over and tell them come out and vote for you. And they vote, okay, no problem. Where is the organization at this point in time? What are you doing? Where is the representation for the African community?
And
you need to be held accountable to this.
Not just that, Empress Judy was here yesterday, and I keep asking her, what is going on with the Black Caucus movement? I'm not hearing anything
Mumbles!
about
when I ask, it's the same thing.
Nothing, it's like...
we do something the other day. Can I have to go in? All the time. That's the answer again. When I ask you, and as a member, so I want to know, as a member, what's going on with the organization? Nothing to tell me. Crickets is what I hear.
But the problem, as the people said, the whole group, the Mohammeds, the this ones, the that ones, the nobodies, they have articulated a position that William Monroe and his children and his family was the problem. And Mr. Monroe said, quote unquote, if you say that I'm the problem, I will remove myself from the board as a director. I will still remain as a regular member, but I want the organization to grow. So let me take myself out of it. Where is the organization today?
Boy, I'll tell you something, Kimm. I'll reflect on the meeting itself. Because I think Trinidad, I think the African community or certain persons, they can't get their head wrapped around the fact of somebody doing so much and not looking at anything in return. Because upon that, now understand something. You can imagine the kind of fallout me and my father had to have over this when I started to see money spending.
No. You could imagine
the kind of fallout.
You could imagine the fallout I had with your father and said, well, Mr. Monroe, you can't be doing your children that. It is your. I sat on the TV station and I said that to him, that is your children's inheritance that you using and you spending to better the African community, and these people are not, they don't even have a sense of gratitude to see what it is you're doing, and I advised him to stop spending money.
I hear him. Sometimes I outside and I hear him, Monroe, and the Monroe. I set a dirty sheep, mindless sheep that they don't even know what they're talking about, but they're talking foolishness.
Do you think envy, Mr. Monroe's success, has any bearing on the manner in which he was treated in this instance?
It's the color of his skin and where he came from, plain and simple. Because if, as I tell you, I was going and listen, man, I done audition, I add out any classifieds, white man, blue eyes, blonde hair wanted. Because I was going and put a white man on the screen to tell people, come and unite. Because we're not listening to our own. And who said somebody that most likely, because he's like my complexion, he's a very dark person. Very big, very, and people watching that and saying, well, no way, in the mind, from what media put in, that image doesn't align to success. So for some reason, it are people who come in by us and asking him, where Obama you just go to? Because they can't understand that somebody could be intelligent and black and build themselves. And as I said earlier on, we are so caught up in the westernized white man way of thinking that we rather replace leaders with people who just learn leadership and don't really know a clue and don't have no track record about anything, and we will put them in charge of our organizations, and all of them doing the same thing.
Well, that goes not just, with the Black Caucus movement or leaders we have had in Trinidad, but if you ask me, leaders in the entire Caribbean.
But the whole diaspora, the African community is a real number have been done on us, Kimm. When I talk about post-traumatic slave syndrome, you all who are wondering what that is, go and check it out. Dr. DeGroy, check it out. Post-traumatic is like the post-traumatic stress syndrome. What we went through for 500 years leave us so messed up in the head and mentality that we don't even know how to catch ourselves. But the poison to me is that we have black leadership in this country, so-called leadership, black persons masquerading as leaders, but they are sheep.
You mean like your coconut prime minister?
I ain't going there. They are sheep. And they have no real interest for us. All they want to do is just exploit and take over. And hustle is a hustle. Yeah. It's a hustle to come and go on a stage and talk nice. When you see a look at them, you swear they take ecstasy. They're feeling themselves. They're talking nice. Ooh, and big words about what should take place in the African community. And it's only win. It's best they fart through them out because there's nothing else but win coming out of them.
Now, this is what I find bizarre. And this is what I could never have understood, because we're moving past now when the HDC project was taken away from me. That would have happened in September of 2016. Fast forward to May 2017. I go into Facebook, so I see this post with David Mohammed. All right? He resigned. Then I'm listening to the radio, and I heard that Harvey resigned, and they are citing money issues. Well, go and find out what's going on with the Black Caucus movement, because it's a money thing. What I cannot understand, and why I have absolutely no respect for any one of them, even if there were differences among the directors in the organization, did they not even think that they could have resigned but still, maintain the image and the integrity of the organization? The fact that they came publicly,
the hidden agendas.
It says to me that they simply wanted to destroy the Black Caucus movement, because within the 3 years of the Black Caucus movement being around, we had just about 10,000 registered members and numerous supporters internationally. The kinds of projects that the Black Caucus movement spearheaded, the issues that we dealt with the vendors at the Savannah, who, when the mayor wanted to move the vendors.
Call is from Shogunas, people, right. Vendors, they go Martin, from individual persons coming, getting loans, William Monroe signing check to people.
Not just that, the resurgence of the African Credit Union, and this woman, Roxanne, have a special place in hell for people like them, said, one time I was hosting the program, sent a message, an email, something of the sort, to state who authorized us to advertise the African Credit Union. When the African Credit Union was an initiative, it came under the umbrella of the Black Caucus movement.
Not even, whether it come under the umbrella or not, picture these people. We put in our plug for the African-based financial institution for you to join. And a member of that organization, a director of that organization, calling the person that give that plug to say, stop advertising us. Or then we haven't given all the authorization to advertise. That's the kind of mad, crazy, nasty, sinister mentality that you're dealing with.
No, but that's backward. That is blind.
According to Morgan, you're backward, vacuous. Drivel.
No, but they are so consumed by hate and bitterness and
pettiness,
as man and say acrimony, that they cannot see reason, they cannot see the big picture. And they wanted me to be a member on the board of directors under their stewardship. They had to be crazy. I know a good leader when I see a good leader. And I maintain I will only accept a position when, and Mr. Monroe, I always pray and I beg that you offer yourself to be the chairman of the Black Caucus movement. You know, they say all these things, there's a Monroe thing, and William Monroe is this boss and this bully. Mr. Monroe has never been the leader of the Black Caucus movement. And in meetings, he would say, if I make a suggestion and the rest of the board members vote against me, I will go with the majority.
You know, each time like he leave that board meeting grinding, eating up himself because they vote against him, and he just, all right, you see this man, really. And he just, and that's it.
So,
So
there are a lot of false claims that, you know, Monroe is this, what you know, scratch up face, Romel said, Monroe is
Al
this.
Pacino?
Scarface? Don't disrespect Al like that.
Yeah, right.
What he said, Mr. Monroe is, he throws tantrums, he's a maniac. Romel, I know that Mr. Monroe instructed O'Brien Haynes, who was a then director of the Black Caucus movement, when he went to Canada, to seek out the best plastic surgeon that there was to fix your face. You are somebody who I saw sitting at the man's house eating 4 and 5 square meals a day. You are somebody who Mr. Monroe put clothes on your back. When you had nowhere to go, Mr. Monroe used to give you temporary shelter. He used to be downstairs by you and your sister. Me ain't asking you, I'm telling you. And for you to go and make these kinds of statements about somebody who gave you an opportunity, they have the last floor in hell reserved for people like you all. But, Keenan, where do we go from here? Because I still support the Black Caucus movement. And I still, although I know that I am confident that the organization will not reach anywhere with the current leadership, the structure, the mindset, and all of that, I am hell-bent, and I believe that the African community needs representation. How do we do that?
It's a very simple thing. We need to understand that the organization is not Mark McCannell, it is not Judy, it is not William Monroe.
It's not a husband and wife organization.
It is not any person's organization. You become a member, it is your organization. Then therefore the change that you need to see, you need to be that change. If you know you have a particular skill set that the African community needs, that is the vehicle to have it displayed, have it put out there. Every other organization for every other community is practicing one very simple mantra. We come together, we mobilize ourselves, mobilize our resources, go out there and gain the biggest piece of the pie that we can. For some reason, when we speak about that, it sounds foreign to us. But I understand that there's a system that they have set up.
Now, we have to stick a pin in that to take a very short break. But when we return, we're going to pick up at the system. You're watching The Cold Truth with Kimm Cole, Black Caucus Movement Special. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, our country is falling apart.
The nation is in mourning tonight.
Our institutions are failing. Crime is out of control. It is our duty to fix it. We are touching on every sector of society. Race, class, and corruption. Nothing is off limit. No holds barred. The Cold Truth with Kimm Cole. The power belongs to the people. Join us right here, Monday to Sunday, 4:45 p.m. to 5:45 p.m.
Hi, welcome to Tandy's Creole Food Delight. We are located at Orsa Espana and Duke Street, Port of Spain. Graduated from THCI, which is they call Hotel School at Shagaramas, and I am the owner of this business, and we have daily lunches which is from Tuesdays to Saturdays. On a Saturday, we do breads, sweet bread. We also have soups, oxtail soup and cowbell soups to your delight. We also have different menus daily from 11 to 3. We also cater for different occasions like weddings and birthday parties. We always want to ensure that the customer is satisfied with the end product here at Tanti's Kitchen.
Edge Solution is a brand of hair and skin products that are used to treat different issues. We offer a hair treatment oil that repairs traction, alopecia, and thinning hair and edges. A scalp treatment cream that's used for dandruff, dry scalp, folliculitis, and other funguses that are in the scalp. We also have a shampoo and conditioner that works along with our cream and oil, giving you maximum benefits. Our shampoo is peppermint infused, which helps unclog pores and aid in hair regrowth. We also have a calming skin lotion, which is excellent for psoriasis, eczema, and other skin issues. All our products are all natural and contains no harsh chemicals and are 100% handmade.
The Red Edge Mall at the corner Mooneyram Street and Western Main Road, St. James, where parking is available for our valued customers on both sides of the street. Red Edge Mall caters for the health conscious, the tastiest soups you'll ever find, the freshest produce, trendy clothing for the fashion dons and divas. Experience the most exotic African male and female outfits, costume jewelry of all descriptions. If you're one who pays special attention to your hair, welcome to the home of hair. Get the latest and widest variety of phones of all descriptions and repairs on the spot at the Red Edge Mall. Closing time 9 p.m. The Red Edge Mall, making shopping affordable. Powered by the Black Caucus Movement.
The Black Caucus Movement, we're making a statement. The Black Caucus Movement, making a statement. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, our country is falling apart.
The nation is in mourning tonight.
Our institutions are failing. Crime is out of control. It is our duty to fix it. We are touching on every sector of society. Race, class, and corruption. Nothing is off limit. No holds barred. The Cold Truth with Kimm Cole. The power belongs to the people. Join us right here, Monday to Sunday, 4:45 p.m. to 5:45 p.m.
Welcome back to our program. You are watching The Cold Truth about the Black Caucus. I'm Kimm Cole, and in studio with me I have former director of the Black Caucus Movement. He is also a regular member, Mr. Keenan Monroe. Our telephone lines are open, 622-9785 or 628-6093. Call in to be a part of this afternoon's discussion. Keenan, the system.
I was telling you, I've recognized a system in place by the other communities. They have three main factions of persons. One faction is the ones that partner and lime and have camaraderie with the African community and the others. Then you have a set that they are spearheading like economic hitmen.
Hi, good afternoon. You're
Good
live.
afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, my love, you're live. Welcome.
Could you put me onto the program, please?
Caller, you are live. Make
You're
your
live.
contribution.
Hello?
Caller, you're live. Please make your contribution.
I met the black... Are you hearing?
Yes.
Speak,
I
talk.
met the Black Caucus in 1914. Oh, gosh.
Caller, could you
Hear
please
what?
call
Call
us
back and take off your radio and call back. Because we cannot listen to yourself and speak at the same time.
Thank you so much. Caller, could you
Next
please
caller.
listen to us?
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good day.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you all. Yes,
Good afternoon.
Yes,
Hey, good day.
good day. At the end of the day, where the Black Caucus is at this point is a place where it is purging. It's like a body. It is getting rid of the unwanted element. And I think this is a good point to restart, right, as a researcher, because it is absolutely necessary not just needed, totally necessary within our community. Because at the end of the day, there is no representation. I heard you all mention earlier.
Yes, but caller.
About other organizations.
But caller.
Right?
Caller.
Like the.
Caller.
Yes, hello? Yeah.
Did you have a look at the UNC ad? Do you think if the
Yes,
Black
yes,
Caucus
yes,
movement
yes.
was active and bubbling, do you think that that ad could have run without some sort of,
repercussions? Or at least the issue being raised?
Yes, exactly. We are supposed to make responses. Did I hear you clearly?
Yes.
Yes, we are supposed to, and there are so many things that are taking place within our society today in Trinidad and Tobago that there is no voice, there is no response. Since last year, September, there has been no voice. People have been asking me what is going on because there is no leadership, and we have had that leadership voice for ages. There was a spark of hope. There was a spark of hope when Mr. Monroe and they were there at the Black Caucus, and then it just collapsed. Because at the end of the day, for years there has been an Emancipation Support Committee, but they saw the apartment buildings turn into ghettos right under their noses, and their headquarters would have been at Duke Street there.
Right.
Right? What I ask myself is, why is it that person, because what I'm hearing here, I believe a whole lot of truth and a whole lot of information has come out here this evening so that people will really understand what is taking place. And people would not get the idea that, okay, we cannot run something.
Right.
It is not we cannot run something. It is that sometimes there are elements who have their own agendas.
Yes.
And that will be working to benefit themselves. Because I'm asking myself, if Mr. Monroe came out and said, well, okay, let me talk to these leaders of the African community, these so-called prominent people. Now, the proof is in the pudding, Don't call yourself a leader as far as I'm concerned when there is no progress within your community, over years, Don't hold seminar after seminar.
Right, caller, could you please wrap up? We do have a lot of callers who would like to make their contribution. I do apologize. I know you have a lot to say. I'm sorry for having to.
You know what? Pop some stuff on the WhatsApp so we can on the live feed send some messages on the comments.
Yes, Tance. Good afternoon. How are you doing, my love?
Post up some comments.
This is Tanti here.
Yes.
A beautiful program as usual. Good evening, Mr. Monroe. Mr. Monroe, I would just like to say a few words. Your father is a man with a vision. And the problem is, a black man is always envious of another black man. He cannot accept the fact that another man like himself has a big vision and is moving ahead. He will try all how to bring him down. And that is what is happening to Mr. Monroe. I have looked on, I've seen, I've followed Miss Kimm. I always thought she was so beautiful. It's her beauty and brains that had me following her in the Black Caucus. And I continued with this program, and the more I see her intelligence. But what I want to tell you, nobody can take away Mr. Monroe's brilliance and all that he did for black people. A prophet is never recognized
in his own land.
In his land.
Have to move you to the head of the class, lady.
He's gone. Then he's recognized. Now, that is all I have to say. Tanti, out.
Tanti, out. I like that. I like that. Excellent
one.
contribution.
Thank you so much for your contribution, my love. And Tanti called me and told me that she's Indian,
Yeah, but they understand it, Kim.
But
they understand it. They understand it.
Hi, good afternoon, caller. You're live.
Kina.
Yes, my love, you're live.
Hello, morning.
It's afternoon.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
I looking at your program and I hear you mention there that you always speak on television, and you got vexed with me and tell me that I spending all my children inheritance on the Black Caucus.
I still think so.
Well, let me tell you what I feel about that. If I had to spend every cent that I have to change the lives of my people in Trinidad and Tobago, like the African brothers and sisters that I'm speaking about, I will spend every dime. But nevertheless, I have other things put down there for them, but he knows that he's well taken care of, and his children is well taken care of by me. But I am saying to my brothers and sisters out there, you all made a mistake. That ain't nothing. I take my blows. But the Black Caucus will be alive and kicking. You have to get rid of that scum, that fellow that is no good. And Keenan could testify to that. In a board meeting, I walk out when this gentleman said, "Have no God." He said, "Have no God." He didn't believe in that at all. No creator. Things just happen by guess. And I say, I cannot sit in the room here. And I walk out on him. And I'm saying, oh, you have to remove that scarf. And then the Black Caucus, as the gentleman said, it's purging. And don't believe it will ever fail. That is why I say, when I resign as a board member, I remain a member. And one of the things, some of the time you all always mistake and say, Mr. Monroe, when he was leading, I never take up leadership.
And
of
that's
the
the
Black
problem,
Caucus.
Mr. Monroe. That is the problem.
When I have to come back, I will be coming back. I will be taking up the leadership position of this organization because we need to go forward badly. We're in a bad state in Trinidad and Tobago. But have faith, have hope, and the next time on the 16th when I spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to bring out my people, where I did the audited account to show them, and I tell them, come and ask any question they want. Let us chart the way forward. Let us get the houses to the people and deal with the problem of our people. You know, those people take the Scarface man, the Horseface man, who I don't know who is Judas' brother, and they follow he, and never turn out. I think it's about 1,000, when we're looking at for about 25 to 30,000. But I tell them we'll go back and the same land is there. And we will rebuild, we will retreat, and when we come forward, we'll be more powerful and we'll be much more aggressive. And our people, some of our African people always telling me, I want to support the black people. That's African people, but I have to do it from behind. What they're fighting about? They're fighting about their own self? I mean, let us be practical, but we will achieve our fullest potential in the end. God bless you. But Kimm, on your face, we can so put a happy face now. What's wrong with your face?
No, well, I'm holding it to what you're saying, Mr. Monroe. Just make me evening there.
You make your day, you make your day, Kimm. I was thinking that.
No, it's your face. I mirror in your face when he said he's going to spend all his money on the African community. Now, this person has been calling me on my private line. Hi, good afternoon, caller. You are live.
Hi, good afternoon. To you, Kimm and Keenan, I have been wondering for months where Black Caucus had disappeared to. I'm really glad you all have enlightened me. I have known, or rather admired Mr. Monroe since the next 5th, and I can't remember the name of the other, on Frederick Street. As a young person beginning my working career, you would go cutting a black man in Frederick Street.
Right.
I'm really glad you all have enlightened me. Although I was going to take you to task about Scarface, but I see there was the need for calling him exactly that. The way they hijacked the organization. I joined and I went away, and then I came back and was like, but just last week my husband asked, but what has happened to Black Caucus? I said, well, I don't know.
Right. Well, thank you so much.
I am really glad you all have enlightened me and throw everything in the open.
Thank you so much for your contribution, my love.
I continue to support you all.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.
It is hurtful to me, Kimm, to see that who our African community in certain areas regards as community leaders and would come out and protest and burn rubbish and come out and show themselves in numbers in order to show solidarity for elements that needs to be rooted out of our communities, whether we like it or not. Because those persons cannot call themselves the leadership in these communities, and these communities are being run down. They're full of, the persons calling themselves leaders are the elements that those are the scourges, sorry to say, but they need to get rooted out.
But Keenan, let me come back to the emancipation.
And no leadership talking about it now.
The Emancipation Lack of Support Committee. That is the first organization in this country that I see. Yes, sir.
Listen, we really have to get a phone for you because the amount of people calling me at my home trying to get into the program, and these numbers that you have here, they're not getting in. So we'll have to buy a phone for you. See that last call that you take on your phone?
Yes.
It was clear, clean, and real good. So I'll get a phone for you So you could put that number up on the screen, and when the people call, they could call you right there, and you could discuss with them, and that is a fantastic idea that come up there. Okay, wonderful program. Man.
Thank you
Keep
so
on
much.
pushing.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, my love. Now, this Thief and Emancipation Lack of Support Committee. Black on black, white collar crime. Hi, good afternoon, caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, my love, you are live.
You ever listen to Peter Jones? I sing a song many years back. There's black man never see the black man. There's never check the back against the wall.
Right.
And that is going on.
Thank
But
you
I
so
will be
much.
there.
Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. Ooh, the calls are coming in fast and furious. We remind you to please mute your TV when you make your contribution. Hi, good afternoon, caller. You're live.
Good afternoon.
Yes, could you please speak up and make it really quick?
I'm watching your program. I'm first time caller.
I can't hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
I said I'm watching your program. I'm a first time caller.
Hello, good day.
And I want to say the lady before who spoke highly about the black caucus. You know, it's something I've been watching for the longest while. And to Mr. Monroe and his son, I believe it will take the level. The people who community, you know, and you can understand what I'm saying. Brother and your father is doing something wonderful.
Thank you.
And I am watching something different. And I represent the kingdom principle of the earth. And what Mr. Monroe and you do, sir, it is the right motion. It never happened now. Just a minute, just hold on and give that point. Continue with that way.
Thank you so much,
It
my
never
love.
happened.
Thank you so much for your contribution. You know what upset me the most? When the motion was moved against me and the HDC project was taken away from me by the organization. That was in September of 2016. In May of 2017, between September of 2016 to May of 2017, well, I was angry, naturally. So your dad and I, our relationship, you know, our friendship, you know, student-teacher mentorship thing, it kind of, you know, we grew apart. And to see that me, right here on this TV station, had to leave my home to come on this Synergy station and defend Mr. Monroe 2 days a week. When you had a board of directors who, I know all your business, and I know how much money you give all you, and I know he doesn't like me to say these things, who he didn't help with business, he gave loans to, he buy car for, he helped with house. And all is still owing him plenty earlier. You know that none of them, not one of you, not one of them, Keenan, and I had to throw you under the bus to have to burn you a little bit, not even you.
Nah, you're mad what? I do that. Wait a minute, it had bacchanal on radio with me.
No. I'm talking about me.
Oh,
Your radio came in August. The radio thing came in August. But it's not a matter of, you know, measuring anything like that.
Too,
What upset me is that not even collectively as the organization, as the Black Caucus movement, an issue was released to state that we are aware of, you know, several claims and allegations being leveled towards our founder, and we debunked these statements. Nothing came from the Black Caucus movement collectively, and nothing came from none, not one of the directors individually.
That is true.
To defend the integrity and the contribution, the good name of Mr. William Monroe. I had to come here and do it. In fact, I told him, I don't care what you do. I will call in the TV station every single day, or I will find myself as a guest on the program to defend you, because I know what you have done for the African community, and the manner in which they treated you was totally unjust.
That is true. That is true. But when I didn't even go, I had to defend myself for that, because every time I come out in defense of him is one thing that people say.
Hello?
I'm his son.
Hi, good afternoon.
You have to say that.
Afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
I'm enjoying the program. I'm enjoying the contributions made. I have listened to Mr. Monroe speak, and I would like to know when he will be taking over, because we are in a critical time at this stage in our in our country as a people. It's critical, it's dire.
Right.
And I see it as pertinent that we already passed that time. Right? So when will Mr. Monroe be taking back the reins of leadership? What has to happen for that? What has to take place for that to happen? Because this man, Mr. McCallum,
Well, I keep
is
calling
not
this
doing
man,
anything.
this man, this
And
man, this
basically,
snake.
our race, we're going to hell in a handbasket, and something needs to be done right away.
Thank
So
you.
this is what I would like to know.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. I mean, I will not let Mr. Monroe rest. I will call him all day, every day, until he lets us know how we go about, overthrowing Satan and his army, and, bringing the organization back to where it used to be, the integrity, the glory, and the respect that the Black Caucus movement demanded, and which was meted out to the organization, before. Hi, good afternoon. Caller, you live?
Hello?
Yes, my love, you're live.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Please make your contribution.
I've been listening to you all, and yes, I've been listening to you all, and I've been to listen without, being in a sort of impassionate way. You identified certain problems. You identified certain problems which we have to eliminate, not only in the organization you're talking about, in the country.
Of course.
When you were saying about the HDC thing, and said about selling out to the UNC, that is where the problem is. With Harvey Boyce, I call it, the PNM man, and David Mohammed, who says a PNM.
And Aisha Wells
These
also.
People, these people feel that they have a monopoly. People have been fooled to believe that the PNM is for black people. Harvey Boyce has his own agenda, right? I have heard, I have no evidence of
it is alleged.
Mohammed, it is alleged that Mohammed got certain help and blah, 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 blah. But once we could eliminate that kind of input at the top level of people who belong to these political organizations, particularly the PNM, who have been fooling people all along. They get the black vote.
It's the both of them.
What are the black people do anything? Other communities get it. Where they just get financing for the last election. Let us find out that. I know, I have people in the organization. You understand?
Right.
And right now, unless these people like Harvey, who is PNM.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution.
They're not interested in black people. They're interested in the PNM.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Now, that's another thing. When you have politically, I think that the political slant that the organization appeared to have taken was responsible for its demise. Because when you have Harvey Boyce, who is a known PNM stooge, you have David Mohammed, who always talks about, Patrick Manning and all of that. You had Aisha Wells, who was the head of the women's arm. I don't know how that happened. You have a couple other, people who everybody knows that they represent the People's National Movement. Then the organization took on a position in that
a political persona.
It appeared as though people used to say straight up, this is PNM Party Group 17. And you would not believe that is what forced me to declare my political position.
Let me say this. One of the huge elephants in the room with the organization is the fact that we're not addressing the masses in the African community, their perception problem.
Right.
Because in anything we're doing, we always find and seek out the thing that differentiates us rather than the commonalities between us. Because you could tell me it only have UNC inside GoPio or Mahasaba.
No.
Well, so why people in saying, well,
Well,
XYZ?
because I think that there was no prevalent, UNC supporter in the front line as it relates to the Black Caucus movement. I just identified
It doesn't
about,
matter. It
about,
doesn't
about
matter
4 or 5
because let me tell you why it doesn't.
who,
Let me tell you why it doesn't matter.
And I mean, I will take you to task on that.
I can tell you why it doesn't matter.
When we do it, when we have time.
Because when the UNC were there in power, we were not being represented. So I'm not even ashamed. I'm not even apologetic to that. Because it have instances where I know people working with ministers, it is alleged when certain things come in front of them, they say, me ain't see no Indian names here, carry that back. When you see money, when you hear Point Fortin recreational facility to be upgraded by, I believe it was SIS for $130 million. But the Ministry of Community Development at the time that was run by an African minister only get $100 million. That's an entire ministry. But Agrongs get $130 million to refurbish. You could tell me about that party?
Hi, good afternoon. Caller, you live.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, my love.
Very good program.
Thank you so much.
Keenan, you know my name. I just say you're supposed to be the Prime Minister. And
Hey, brother.
Yeah, and the Empress there. Keenan and Empress, go and check out the Muslim people who had we slave the longest and what they did to us. So this Muslim thing to us. And I'm asking Mr. Monroe, Keenan, please take back the organization. I marched in 1970. I 68. I got senior citizen. And I want you to come back because right now black people have nothing. So I'm asking you all, please do something. And these bunch of Harvey Boris and all of them, I want to say the word, but show them somewhere far and we forget about them because they have nothing.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Nothing. So thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my love.
And Empress, you, Keenan, the guy with the glasses, and Mr. Mono, please do something for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my love. Well, I mean, when I saw that the African community and, the Black Caucus, we no longer had a TV program and all of that, I came up with the cold truth, to still allow not just the African community, but, just the people of this country to have an open forum whereby, they could voice their concerns and issues that they have that ought to be addressed and that kind of thing. But Keenan, as we wrap up, and I had a girl in this joker, they used to say that they put Satmaraj's daughter, they used to refer to me as Satmaraj's daughter. They said they put an Indian to host the Black Caucus movement, and that is why, and that is why I used to wear all these wigs and hair pieces, and they used to have their friends calling me on the TV station, to attempt to ridicule me and all of that.
Yes,
Never mind this cancer I had, and I literally had a bald head, You see how wicked and bad it is? But I must say, final closing words before we go.
Thank you for inviting me on your program to hear my side of the story. And I appreciate your program for that. And I'll tell each and every person of African descent and everyone as a human being, you have a people, you belong to a tribe. It's your duty and responsibility to take care of that tribe. It is your duty and responsibility to look after that tribe. You see someone that has the potential, that needs the help, give it to them. You see someone that's selling the goods that you could support them. Someone that's looking like you because the others are doing it. There's nothing wrong with helping your own. Support your own today.
Thank you so much for that, Keenan. And this is an open invitation. It's the cold truth. We want to know what the other members have to say. If you all have a totally different, account of me, Keenan, and the other members, you're free. My lounge is big. I have enough room to facilitate and accommodate everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to this special Black Caucus. What is it? Declaring up what happened to the Black Caucus. Thank you for tuning into this special
Black
segment
Caucus Cold Truth style.
of the Cold Truth. And tune in tomorrow. I might have some bacchanal for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our country is falling apart.
The nation is in mourning tonight.
Our institutions are failing. Crime is out of control. It is our duty to fix it. We are touching on every sector of society. Race, class, and corruption. Nothing is off limit. No holds barred. The Cold Truth with Kimm Cole. The power belongs to the people. Join us right here, Monday to Sunday, 4:45 p.m. to 5:45 p.m.